episode.
Oh,
Well, hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Hope the same
Awesome.
is true for you.
I am good. Well, I'm so glad that you met with me today. I had a couple questions about a recent project that you had done, and I was very excited about it. I was following you on social media, and I just thought it would be a great opportunity to share with other members some interesting things that you're doing with Wildly Different. And if you're happy to share it with everybody. So I looked it up really quickly. It was called Minnie Takes the States Project. Is that
That is
correct?
correct.
Yeah. So can you tell me about it and how you got involved? Did they reach out to you? And just, yeah, how it all evolved.
Sure. As far as what is Mini Takes the States, it is a road rally that they host every other year. Of course, it was put off during the pandemic, so it had been longer. Everybody was itching to get back out there. Mini owners are a unique set and they love to get together and do things like this. And the rally this year went from Burlington, Vermont, and it started on, oh gosh, the Friday after 4th of July. And then it ran through for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it drove all the way down to Greenville, South Carolina. So it was quite a lot of driving, and it was in beautiful areas. So it wasn't like, hey, we're just going to get on the interstate and go. Basically, what they always try to do is make it a fun experience in cool, interesting towns. So we were going on back roads through, covered bridges and waterfalls and different sites. And what they worked with us on was the app that would drive people along the route. So it was used as a directional type of activity. There were turn by turn directions in it so that they would know where they were going. And then it was also when they got to certain spots, it unlocked challenges that they had to do on their device. So fun things like, make up a rule for your vehicle for the entire road rally. For instance, if you were to come to a stop sign, everybody has to, do a Chinese fire drill or something along those lines. And so they would have to take photos, make videos. There were also some fun trivia questions about Minnie. And this went on for very many days. It was
Oh my gosh. Now, did you get to travel with them throughout this whole process? Oh my
Absolutely
gosh.
did. We got our own Mini. We Tim Wally, and it was one of their newest vehicles. So all of the Mini owners were like, "Oh, cool! You have this vehicle," and it was awesome because I'd never been in a Mini before, and my preconception was that it would be low to the ground. I'd feel uncomfortable. I'm an SUV driver, and instead it was like, oh my gosh, I never felt like my butt was on the ground like you do with a sedan.
Yep.
It's super roomy in there. I mean, we came across one dad and son, and they were both easily 6'4" and broad as a bus, and they fit in the Mini no problem. It has a BMW motor in it, so it hugs the road, and it really has some pickup. Like at one point in one town, I had to cross a pretty busy highway. There was no stoplight, no stop signs. You just had to get on. And I think I went from 0 to like 75 in like a few seconds. I hit the turbo boost and boom, I was out.
That's cool.
It was awesome. I love it. And now I want to own a Mini.
Well, that was my next question is, are you interested in buying one now after that much time?
Totally interested. We're talking about maybe buying one for the company and getting it wrapped with the Wildly Different branding and Harry, our mascot, on the front of it, and doing it up in, like a cream color, and then having all of the little accent colors from our logo. So yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So on this journey, what was your favorite location that you stopped through?
Oh gosh. Well, I'd never been to Vermont before, so that was gorgeous country. And of course, coming from Florida where we're dying of heat, it was fantastic to actually be up there and have long pants and a little coat on was nice. So, and it's a gorgeous countryside. It really is beautiful. But probably the most interesting two portions of the drive for me were the Skyline Drive through Virginia. So that was just, although I had Jane next to me freaking out the entire time as we were coming up.
There are some really close drops.
And of course I'm driving, so I'm like, what's the problem? Because I'm like around curves, and she's just like hugging the side of the car hoping we don't go over. And then in a likewise fashion, the back of the dragon, the tail of the dragon, back of the dragon, they're famous, for 311 curves, along one stretch of the road. And it literally was like zoom, 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 zoom. So it was really testing your driving abilities and a lot of fun.
That's very cool. So how many people from your team were able to participate in this?
So there were two of us.
Nice.
And basically what we would do is every morning, and it was early, it was long days. We would be up at like even before dawn. We were getting up at 4:35 a.m. so that we could be on site at the rally location for 6. Believe it or not, people started arriving even at 4 o'clock, even though the rally wouldn't open until 7 daily.
Wow.
And we were responsible for being in a app support tent, and people would come over to us with their devices and ask us to set up the app, explain how it worked, if they had any issues, how to get around them in the next series of days. And Garrett Harrell, and I did the first part of the week. And then Garrett went home and swapped with Jane in Maryland, and she carried on with me for the second week.
Very
So
cool.
yeah.
Oh, good job, Jane, too.
Learned a lot about each other in our vehicles over
I'm
the
sure
course
those are
of
some
2 weeks.
long days.
Yeah, because literally when the rally start would be done, we'd do a wave off. So we'd wave all the cars off, which was so cool. And it was literally 45 minutes to an hour of waving after vehicle after vehicle after
Wow.
vehicle. And we were in really interesting locations. Like they got to drive on a couple of the speedways. And that was exciting, especially for Garrett, because his dad is a race fanatic.
Oh,
And
nice.
we got to drive around the track too. So that was awesome. And yeah, it was just, we would then hop in our vehicle after everybody left. So 10, 11 o'clock, we'd be getting on the road, and we'd be doing anywhere from 5-hour to 8-hour drives, and then getting back, eating dinner, checking emails. Throughout, we're answering questions in the app, and yeah, hitting the pillow about 10, 11, and starting all over again the next day. It was
Oh
long,
my
but it was
gosh.
fun.
That's really incredible. So how
Mhm.
many cars do you think on an average were participating on a daily basis?
Yeah, sure. There were on average around 700 vehicles every day. So yeah, imagine small town traveling through, and all of a sudden 700 minis are descending on your location and going through. We
And you're
overall,
also servicing them with your app and the game that they were all doing.
yeah,
So that's
for
incredible.
sure, for sure. And then total players in the game were 1,300.
Wow. Right,
Yeah.
because there's more than one person in a car.
Well,
Yeah.
and sometimes people would do part of the drive and then they would not do the full drive. So we had everything from people participating for a day to the full 2 weeks.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
very cool. So did you learn anything new on this trip?
Wow, did we learn anything new? I mean, it was a different experience. It was a
Yeah.
new iteration of the app. I must say that we worked with our app provider. We sublicensed the app from Wild Goose.
Mhm.
And I must say that we learned the ins and outs of pretty much every device there is out there. When we're using the app for team building hunts, usually we're providing an iPad. There may be a couple people who have an Android device. Most people have iOS devices. That wasn't the case here. We saw every device from you name it, and little quirks for every single device, right? It operates slightly differently on an Android versus an iOS device. And so I really got to be an expert at the nuances of the app, and also quite the expert at every app, because the average age of the people who were on the rally were 50s on up,
Yep.
because this is something obviously a lot of retirees will do because they have the time,
Right.
although there were definitely younger people too. And when you're in that age group, and I can say this because I'm in that age group, then people don't necessarily know how to use their devices. They're
Yeah.
not as comfortable with apps. And so some of them would just come to me every morning and hand me their phone and say, get me set up for the day. And I'd be like, and I teach them, but they didn't want to learn, or they were like, no, you're going to save my marriage if you do this for me. I heard that more than once.
Oh my.
And so I would get them set up, and then they would be like, hey, my phone's doing something weird. Do you know how to do this? And we'd be like, well, let's figure it out. So I felt like a tech guru instead of a
You
game
sound
guru.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're definitely next level on that one for sure. I
It
would
was
think so.
it was fun.
Well, any parting last words or words of advice for someone that is being asked to do an event at this level?
Ooh, well, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
This was in the years in the making. And we were very lucky. Wild Goose started with it. That's the app provider. And then they changed their business model over the pandemic. And they reached out to us and said, hey, would you be willing to take it over?
Very
So
cool.
we took it over, I think, oh gosh, October of last year. And it had been years in the making already. And so definitely planned for a lot of time. You definitely have to test and retest. You know, they did a couple of site visits and it turned out we had to do another one just to work out kinks. But yeah, I mean, I encourage it. Planning big road rallies, like even let's say you're at a resort, right? How cool would it be to do something that incorporates your resort as a kickoff and an ending point, and then people
Yeah.
get to do scenic drives all around? I think it's an awesome tool to utilize, and people were all waving to each other and stopping at waypoints, and they made new friends. I mean, they like to say there's no such thing as, you know, being lonely in a mini. You got lots of friends, and it's very true. So yeah, setting something like this up would be a bonding experience, and maybe even good for, you know, bringing in local business to your resort
Yep.
that you're not thinking of, because wow, now we're doing a rally. Let's go out and have some fun, and we're staying at the resort at the same time. So something to think about.
Very, very cool. Well, it's definitely very inspiring to me, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with you today about it. And I appreciate your time. It sounded like, and looked like from what I saw in the pictures, just like a very fun and very exciting activity. So thank you so much, Lisa, and congrats to your team on that. And we will be in touch if we have more questions, I guess.
All right, sounds
All right.
great. Wonderful speaking with you today.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie.